have a time introducing each other a little bit, if you don't mind. This webinar, the first 10 minutes, I'd like to have the introducing each other 10 minutes, and then I will give you a brief introduction of the EEG and QEEG and general landscape of EEG and QEEG. And I will take, it will take around 20 minutes, and then I will give you very basic, very important concept of the signal and noise. The EEG inspection is very important before going to the QEEG result. So I will briefly introduce how to inspect EEG signal and noise. And it will take half hour for reviewing the basic concept of EEG and QEEG, and then I will go to the PBM mechanism of the PBM entrainment, and I will give you the case of PBM intervention of ADHD and drug addiction and suicidal attempt patient and autism patient and PTSD. And I will give you a summary idea of the QEEG-guided PBM protocol. About it will take another 1 hour, so I will start. Before I start, there are a lot of participants here. Can we introduce a little bit, very briefly, each other before starting?
Should we start?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, I'm Nerida Saunders from Australia with iMediSync Australasia. And thank you, Dave, again. Your presentations are amazing. Hi, Mandy. How are you?
Hi. Hi, Nerida. How are you? Thank you for attending.
Oh, thank you for doing this. It's amazing. Yeah. So I'll let someone else introduce themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Nerida.
Mandy, please coordinate the participant one by one. I don't know each person, but you know many persons.
Hello, my name is Satoshi Horiike. I'm from Japan. I'm working in a clinic in Japan, which is delivering the neuromodulation caring programs. I'm really interested in the, we are using the iMediSync QEEG, I think wave, and it is very powerful too. And it's very helpful for understanding our patients. Thank you very much. And we are very interested in the QEEG, how to read QEEG and PBM caring programs. So I'm very excited to join this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great. Lynn, please.
Hello.
Yes, please, Lynn.
Oh yeah, I'm here and to listening your present. So I'm waiting for you. You to start this video conversation.
Nice to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of participants here. Time is too limited. Please, Anna.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, yeah, and Dr. Des. And my name is Anna from Tâm Đức GDT company in the Vietnam. So I represented, also thank you so much for let me joining this meeting today. And thank you so much. And very nice to meet you all, guys.
And anybody who want to introduce by yourself? I think time is so limited, so now we are 3:10, so I will start the presentation today. Please, all participants mute the mic because I will start the presentation. Thank you. And moment. Yes, today's topic. The first topic I would like to. Many participants did participate the webinar number 1, but some participants will not participate the previous webinar. So, and also it is very important concept of the EEG and QEEG. So I will briefly introduce the EEG and QEEG concept again before starting the PBM intervention cases. We need to record this webinar. Wait a moment. Okay. And the first topic is the EEG and QEEG. We need to understand EEG and QEEG. As you can see here, that's the EEG, the frequency beta rhythm and alpha rhythm, theta rhythm, delta rhythm. The EEG shows the very small amplitude in the higher frequency and the very large amplitude in the slower frequency. That's the EEG. The increasing the frequency, decreasing the frequency, the amplitude is larger. That's the EEG. And you can see here, the beta wave is very asynchronous rhythm, and alpha rhythm is very sinusoidal and synchronous rhythm. And beta usually, we can see the beta in the frontally and parietally. The beta divided by the beta 1 to 3. You can see here, the beta 3 is highly over-focused. The beta 1 is calm focus. Between beta 1 and beta 3, there is an active focus, active task status. That's the beta. And when we relax, we can see the alpha posterior occipitally. And also, when we get drowsy, the alpha amplitude drop like this. And then finally, we go to the deep drowsy status. There are big theta rhythm, usually in the central area. We can see this kind of theta rhythm. And theta rhythm, we can see the memory process. This theta is the persistent theta, but memory process theta rhythm is very phasic. Just one up and down of the theta rhythm is very important for the memory processing, and delta is very slow. And another very, very important EEG rhythm is spike. Usually EEG has a lot of waveform morphology, is a lot of smooth waveform. But in the spike, there is a very spike pattern in this. That's why we call the spike activity is very dangerous EEG rhythm for making many kind of disease. This kind of spike activity is very unusual in unhealthy rhythm. Unhealthy one and the spike usually accompanied by this kind of spike and slow wave is the typical epileptic form. This is the general EEG waveform and the frequency and the amplitude concept and the morphology. We can understand EEG like this. And you can see this kind of caption after the workshop. I already shared this material. And another important concept here is the concentration and relaxation. As you can see here, the amplitude and frequency relation is like this kind of inverse relation. Frequency is higher, amplitude is lower. When we go to the concentration with the EEG spectrum, EEG move faster. When we relax, the EEG becomes slower. That's the concentration, relaxation, relation with the EEG frequency and amplitude. And you can see here the slow frequency, usually higher amplitude. That means higher amplitude means the global area of the neural assembly firing synchronously make a bigger amplitude, and the slow amplitude in the high frequency, that means the local area of the neural assembly firing synchronously. That makes the EEG rhythm. The slow frequency recruit global assembly of the neural population. The higher frequency recruit the small number of the relatively local neural assembly. So recruiting large number of the neural assembly make a bigger EEG amplitude. Recruiting small number of neural assembly make a small EEG amplitude. That's why we have this kind of large amplitude and more synchrony, low amplitude and less synchrony and more neuronal independence. But that's the EEG frequency and amplitude relation. And for measuring EEG, we use these two devices. One is iSync wave. Second device is iSync B. The iSync wave is the medical device. iSync wave is the electrical device. This device, the second device is more lighter and have the better electrical circuit performance and also the higher LED power in the second device. This is our device for measuring the EEG, and we can. That's the basic device and EEG waveform and the frequency amplitude relation. And I'd like to go to the second topic of the EEG and QEEG landscape. We need to understand EEG generation mechanism and the frequency and mental status. And we need to understand the under-arousal and over-arousal. And finally, we need to correlate the EEG rhythm and the brain's subsystem. So understanding this EEG QEEG landscape, then we can apply this EEG QEEG concept in the real application. Basically, we can divide EEG. Before the delta, there is very slow rhythm, slow cortical potential or DC potential, slow cortical potential usually defined as less than 1 Hertz, very slow rhythm of the EEG made by glia cells. There are a lot of glia cells, more than neuron. These glia make this kind of slow slow EEG potential, and it is very important one. And another one is delta, made by the cortical sheath dipole. The theta is made by sometimes the thalamocortical alpha rhythm. Slowing of the thalamocortical alpha rhythm make a theta, and also the limbic circuit make a theta rhythm. The alpha is very important EEG rhythm made by thalamocortico-thalamic circuit, and the beta made by the cortical circuit, and the gamma is the neural made by neural network. This is the generation mechanism of the EEG rhythm. And we need to briefly understand this kind of different generation of the EEG rhythmicity. And important thing is the alpha peak frequency. This alpha peak frequency, as you can see here, the reticular activation system, when we sleep or drowsy, this reticular activation system inhibit this kind of thalamocortico-thalamic oscillation, and in that case, we drop to the drowsy status, and without inhibition by the reticular activation system, and we can maintain the waking status, and then thalamus give a signal to the cortex. Cortex send back the neural signal to the thalamus again. That makes a circuit, and adult brain make a 10 times pulse per second in the thalamus. That makes the 10 Hz alpha rhythm in the adult brain. And after 14 years old, the alpha peak frequency reach the 10 Hz, and then after the 40 years old, the alpha peak frequency decrease like this. The male decrease, the female decrease. The male decrease more abruptly compared to the female, and this alpha frequency development is very important for the evaluation of the QEEG, and we need to understand alpha generation mechanism and this kind of age development alpha peak frequency. This is the basic information processing speed from the thalamus to the cortex, and then again to the thalamus. This is very important rhythm. And in the alpha rhythm, there are two alpha rhythm. One is slow alpha, and the high frequency alpha. Slow alpha is associated with the relaxation. High frequency alpha is associated with the cognitive readiness, a kind of cognitive processing, readiness of the kind cognitive processing. So alpha 1, alpha 2 is a little bit different meaning. And below the alpha, there is a theta and delta we already mentioned, and the beta 1 to 3. As you can see here, the beta 1 is very important rhythm. I can mention again this calm focus brain rhythm is the sweet spot of the brain frequency, EEG frequency, that makes that stabilize the brain overall. That's very important rhythm, and also improve the sleep quality when we get this kind of beta 1 rhythm training, then we can make a good sleep. And beta 2 is the active, when the cat catch the mouse, the beta 2 rhythm is generated, and the cat beats the mouse when this is the stressful situation, and then the beta 3 appears a lot. That's associated tension and anxiety. And above 30 Hz, there is a different meaning. Gamma is the different meaning that is highly correlated with the cognitive process. And this is the EEG frequency and mental status. And this is the very important figure of the EEG frequency, understanding of the EEG frequency. As we saw before, this delta rhythm, this is the frequency, and the water path blood perfusion relation, frequency and blood perfusion, like this kind of relation, the delta frequency during the sleep, there are a lot of blood perfusion. That means there are a lot of brain metabolism in the sleep. And alpha frequency, the metabolism is very low because we are relaxed and rest. And the beta 3, between 20 and 30, there are a lot of blood consumption because there is a stressful situation. Between alpha and beta 3, there are beta 1 and 2, very good frequency for the brain health. So we actively use this frequency range for training of the EEG and the neuromodulation of the EEG. And sometimes we can use the alpha, but we can also use this sweet spot frequency rhythm. And after beta 3, there is a gamma frequency. Gamma is very similar to the beta 1 and beta 2. The gamma rhythm is important rhythm for the brain cognitive processing and information processing. This is very important graph understanding EEG frequency. Frequency is always better. Compared to other brain imaging methodology, EEG has the frequency axis. Frequency is very important for designing many kind of intervention or medication selection, neuromodulation protocol, and sometimes neurofeedback protocol based on this kind of frequency concept of the EEG. And another next concept is the alpha frequency. As you already saw, that this is the amplitude frequency relation. When we close our eyes, the alpha frequency generate like this. There's a big alpha rhythm during eyes closed, not eyes open. Eyes open still has a alpha rhythm, but the eyes closed is the very big alpha rhythm. And using this alpha frequency and alpha amplitude, we can understand the patient status very well. So alpha rhythm is very important. This is the quick summary of the iSync wave or iSync me measurement. After the measurement, we can find this right side summary report. This is coming from this kind of frequency amplitude relation we can call the EEG spectra. The black is the normal spectra. The red is the under-arousal. We can call the under-arousal. The blue is we can call over-arousal. In the under-arousal, there are a lot of cognitive disorder, depression, Parkinson, learning disability, in the developmental disorder. In the over-arousal, there are a lot of anxiety, OCD, worry, obsession, perfectionism, insomnia, addiction, migraine usually shows the over-arousal EEG pattern. In the over-arousal, we can find the blue area like this in the iSync wave quick summary report. In the upper, when the client or a patient having the under-arousal pattern, we can find the red area in the summary report. That's the under-arousal and over-arousal is very important one. Another next important concept is we need to understand the brain subsystem. And brain system is simply attention system. When we have the new novel things, we attend that novel thing. There is no new thing we did not attend. Our brain is basically attention system. The new thing is good to me, then for example, the new thing I attend is a good thing for me. I need to memorize that is good thing. That's the memory system and affective system. The new thing I attend is the bad thing or dangerous thing for me. Then I need to memorize that as a dangerous dangerous thing. That's the memory and affective system. Memory always consolidated with affection information. So memory system is affection system always interconnected, very highly interconnected. So memory and affective system is always together. So attention system and then memory and affective system. Based on the memory, our previous memory, we decide our next behavior. That's the executive system. So the attention system usually mediated by the norepinephrine. The norepinephrine make a alpha frequency speed when our brain deficiency in the norepinephrine alpha frequency is slowed. Then we can give them norepinephrine medication for making the alpha rhythm more faster, and neuromodulation. We can give them the fast alpha stimulation, and the attention system, and then we can. Our brain has the memory and affective system. Memory system used mediated by the acetylcholine. The affective system mediated by the serotonin. When the serotonin deficient in our brain, our frontal alpha is usually higher in the back of the head, but frontal alpha increased. That's the depression. In that case, we need to give the people the serotonin medication and the neuromodulation. In terms of neuromodulation, we can give them the frontal beta rhythm is very important for the frontal function, so we can give the frontal beta stimulation. And also, the acetylcholine is deficient in our brain. Our memory functions could make a problem. So could make a problem. Then, in that case, we can give the acetylcholine booster, or in terms of neuromodulation, we can increase the alpha activity or frequency of we can increase the frequency of the alpha rhythm for making the memory system more better. And basically our brain is the inhibition system. On top of the inhibition system, there are many neurotransmitters act as memory function, memory system, make a memory function, attention function, and executive function. Basically, our brain is the inhibition system. This inhibition system mediated by the GABA, and GABA deficient. When we have a deficiency in GABA, there are addiction problem and anxiety problem, and the alpha peak frequency is higher, the beta frequency is higher, or beta spindle. We can see the beta spindle. In that case, we can calm down the brain using the GABA medication. And also in terms of neuromodulation, we can give the posterior alpha rhythm stimulation or global sensory motor rhythm stimulation. And the dopamine system is the problem. And dopamine is deficient in our brain. Then the EEG shows the frontal theta rhythm. In that case, we can give them the stimulant medication. There are a lot of dopamine problem, ADHD, and sometimes addiction. Addiction is also executive system problem, and Parkinson and Lewy bodies. And yes, that's kind of all this one is the dopamine issue. In that case, we can give the dopamine stimulant medication, and also we can give them the frontal beta stimulation. The brain is very complex system, but we can understand brain as an attention system and then the memory and affective system. And based on memory and affection, and we can decide our future behavior. That's the executive system. Each brain system use the specific neurotransmitter and each neurotransmitter correlate with the EEG pattern, and based on EEG pattern, we can give them the right medication and right neuromodulation. That's the QEEG-guided intervention we need to develop for the future mental health. And as you can see here, this is the simple figure understanding the brain EEG phenotype, EEG cluster. In the same disease, for example, same ADHD, there are 4 different EEG clusters, but simply three different EEG clusters. Half of the ADHD is the frontal theta, and 30% is the frontal alpha, and 25% is overarousal. Some has the beta spindle, some has the epileptiform discharge. In each brain EEG phenotype, even in the same ADHD, we need to select the different medication. For example, frontal theta, as you can see here, frontal theta, we need to give them the stimulant medication. And also, we need to frontal beta stimulation. Beta is the dopamine rhythm in the frontal area, so we can help them, the frontal beta stimulation. And the frontal alpha subtype, we can give them that stimulant. We can give them serotonin, improve their mood, and also we can give the frontal beta photobiomodulation and neuromodulation, but the frequency is a little bit different in the frontal theta type or frontal alpha type. And for the overarousal, this two is the underarousal pattern, and the overarousal pattern, there are beta spindle, there are epileptiform discharge. We need to give them the different medication, the anticonvulsant medication for the epileptiform, and the beta spindle, we can give them ion channel blocker. And for the photobiomodulation and neuromodulation, we can give them the alpha PBM, the theta PBM sometimes, and also we can give them global optimization, SML PBM. That's the how we can make a QEEG-guided personalized intervention for the people. And after recording EEG, we can find the different EEG phenotype, and then we can guide the right intervention. And this is all covered by the previous webinar, but I summarize the key concept. And before going to the real cases, I need to emphasize once more, before using the QEEG data, we always go back to basic. The basic is the raw data. We always keep an eye on the raw data because QEEG pattern is coming from raw data. When you have the clean raw data, then the QEEG is reliable for the right intervention selection. But sometimes EEG quality, raw data quality is bad. AI denoising sometimes cannot make the clean data. In that case, QEEG is not reliable. It's not valid for the QEEG-guided intervention design. So we always go back to the basic. The basic is the signal and noise review in the raw data and the clean data. So before applying this QEEG-guided photobiomodulation, all the experts need to understand the basic inspection of the EEG and EEG signal and noise. So that's why I briefly introduced how to understand, how to review the raw data and the clean data. This is the clean data in the ADHD case. We can see this is the alpha rhythm in the back of the head, the 10 cycle oscillation per second. But in the frontal area, this is frontal and occipital. In the middle, central, and parietal, the frontal usually is faster than alpha in the healthy population, but in this case, frontal is more slower than the posterior. That's the problem. That's the theta activity excess in the ADHD. That means the dopamine system failure. There are a lot of theta activity in the frontal area. In that case, we need stimulant medication. And some ADHD shows the opposite pattern. This is alpha in the back. This is the beta spindle in the frontal. And this is the beta spindle, very high frequency, very synchronous rhythm like alpha, but the frequency is very high. This is the beta spindle. In that case, we cannot give the stimulant medication, and then we need to break up this beta spindle using, for example, very slow wave frequency photobiomodulation, not the beta photobiomodulation. And in terms of medication, that stimulant, other medication to calm down this beta spindle. We need to understand the raw data. We need to see what the raw data looks like, what the clean data looks like. Is there any artifact remained? We need to check before going to the QEEG result. This is the please mute your mic during the presentation. And the clean data here, this is the autism trial. You can see here, there are no alpha rhythm. Usually this is the alpha rhythm. You can see the alpha rhythm is 10 cycles per second, but here, very slow. There is no alpha rhythm. The development alpha is not successful in the autistic population, so there is no alpha rhythm here. And globally, the slow rhythm is dominant in this case. And you can see here, this T3 and T4 usually muscle activity from temporalis muscle. And also we need to understand what's the drowsiness. During the EEG recording, we need to monitor the patient's drowsiness. For example, before 5 minutes, the people get drowsy. During the eyes open case, that means the sleep problem. That kind of sleep data cannot be used for, that kind of drowsy data cannot be used for the resting EEG profile. That's the drowsy or sleep EEG profile. So we need to ask the participant or client not to drowsy and maintain the awakened status during the EEG recording. As you can see here, the alpha during the drowsy, the alpha decrease, and this kind of theta rhythm is increased in the central area. This is called central vertex rhythm. When we found the central vertex rhythm, that means that EEG is not valid for the resting EEG. That's the drowsy EEG. So we need to control the vigilance during the EEG recording. And you can see here, there are a lot of spike activity like this. This is the spike. It's not epileptic form activity. It's not always make a seizure, but this is the higher end of the overarousal. So very dangerous pattern for removing that kind of spike activity. We need to give them the SMR PBM protocol, or sometimes we can give the inhibition protocol. We suggest sometimes 1 Hertz, very slow rhythm photobiomodulation. This kind of spike wave and the field effect, as you can see here, this field effect means this spike is a real pathological status. So in that case, the QEEG cannot show any abnormal finding, but the raw data always, this kind of raw data, we can find the spike activity, then we need to address this spike issue. Even though their QEEG pattern is quite normal, but usually not normal, but the QEEG, before going to the QEEG, the rest EEG itself, when the EEG shows this kind of spike, we need to address that. And this is the field effect. As you can see here, this kind of slow wave is not the real signal, because the EEG coming from the under the skull, the EEG measured at over the skull, always having the field effect in the adjacent EEG channel. So this slow wave is real one. If this slow wave is real neuronal signal, then the adjacent adjacent channel should have this kind of similar shape of the slow wave. So this is the artifact. So we need to inspect artifact. We need to understand the EEG. We need to separate them. This is the artifact, and this is the real spike activity. That's the basic of the EEG. I need to re-emphasize again. And then I want to start today's main topic is the PBM. What is the mechanism of entrainment? And using this kind of entrainment mechanism, we can make the people's brain rhythm more faster for the overarousal pattern, for the underarousal pattern, more slower for the overarousal pattern. So using this kind of entrainment, we can speed up the brain rhythm for the underarousal population and calm down the brain rhythm of the overarousal population. Thus, we can give them the controllability of the brain rhythm using this kind of entrainment mechanism of the photobiomodulation. This entrainment mechanism, not the specific one for the photobiomodulation, the RTMS and the ACS. AC is the current stimulation, right stimulation, magnetic stimulation. All different kinds of neuromodulation take advantage of same mechanism of the entrainment. So we can give them the fast frequency neuromodulation, the EEG rhythm, speed up. We can give them the slow frequency neuromodulation. We can decelerating the brain rhythm of the client. That's the entrainment mechanism. So I want to today I will show you 5 different cases. This is the summary of the 5 different cases. The first one is the ADHD and the frontal slow problem. We give him the SMR and gamma PBM protocol, and then alpha and frontal beta protocol. Finally, he shows a very good improvement. I will give you more detail. And the second case is the drug addiction. In drug addiction shows the frontal slow EEG phenotype, and after the alpha PBM protocol, the frontal slow is decreased, and then the addiction behavior is stopped. That's the very exciting cases too. And third case is the suicidal attempt case. His brain activity shows very fast alpha activity. We can give them the Theta protocol and then give him the alpha protocol and make a very good improvement in that case too. And the fourth case is the autism case. In this autism case, very high frontal slow wave Theta activity after the SMR protocol. the slow frontal activity is decreased substantially, and then the autism related symptom is decreased very much. I will give you detail after this summary. And the final case is the PTSD case. This PTSD shows the very focal slowing and no alpha and focal slowing, very slow delta activity, and the frontal beta spindle activity. After alpha theta photobiomodulation, we don't give them the post-intervention data, but we will apply the alpha theta protocol and 1 Hz, the inhibition protocol and SML protocol for stabilizing the PTSD brain. And this is the summary for today's PBM cases. So I will stop here for 10 minutes for the break and the question and answer. And after 10 minutes, I will start these 5 cases one by one. Do you have any question? And please relax 10 minutes during the 10-minute break. Please, Swan.
Hi, good afternoon, Dev. How are you doing?
Nice to meet you again.
Yeah, nice to meet you again. My question is when people they got into the stress and they want to treat themselves regularly, how
Right.
should they set the PBM? Like for me, as an example, I'm 57 years old, right? I'm under the stress condition. If I want to treat myself regularly, how should I put the PBM protocol?
Yeah. Yes. After this second session, you need to understand what kind of protocol is best for you, I think. But basically, we need to scan the EEG before deciding the right protocol, and then we can find the best protocol for you, for example. But basically, many alcohol consumption makes brain alpha rhythm for the alpha deficient population. That's my understanding. If you have the deficient alpha, we need to give you the posterior alpha protocol for making more relaxed status. But I need to go through your real EEG and QEEG profile for deciding the right PBM protocol.
Okay, I got your point. So
yeah, generally alpha protocol is best.
Yeah. I need to have myself scan first.
Yes.
Okay, I got your point. Thank you.
Thank you. Then, is there any another question? Then we will have about please.
There's a question in the chat.
In the chat. Okay. Yeah. The case 1 to 3, you can see in the second session, the profile is a little bit different between the case. So we can understand the frontal slow. Case 1 and case 2 is the frontal slow, and case 4 is also frontal slow. There are different approach, but there is some common things in the protocol and some different thing in the protocol. We can approach many different ways, but basic idea is the same. But we need to understand more deeply in the second session, I think. Thank you for your good question. Then,
James,
yes.
Just a very quick question. Are the reports picking up spike activity and indicating it at epileptiform activity?
At the moment, we did not give the spike, picking up the spike activity. We need to develop for that kind of report too.
Okay, so it's
before
visual
then,
now.
yes, before that, we need to inspect the raw data and clean data always.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you for that. I just thought I'd check. I look
Yes.
forward to the report doing it for me, though.
Yes.
One day. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Please. Kush?
Hello. Can I ask you, how do you choose the PBM or RTMS? Or is it possible to use both of them, PBM and RTMS?
Yes, I think the PBM and THCS, sometimes TDCS cannot use the frequency, but the THCS, RTMS can use the frequency. So, but the physiological mechanism is a little bit deeper. So the people can use the photobiomodulation, RTMS at the same time, I think, but I don't have clinical experience about that. But basically, in training the brain rhythm toward the desired frequency direction is possible for both RTMS and PBM. So we can take advantage of both neuromodulation technology, I think. But PBM is more special because, right, is not just entrainment. There are a lot of different mechanisms, mitochondria activation and the microglia activation. Microglia increase the neuroimmune activity in the brain. So, right, is more giving us the more another healing mechanism. So, but we can combine the other neuromodulation too, I think.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi there. Very
Hi.
nice, right? I just wanted to ask, you mentioned, do we also pick up on sleep spindles here automatically, or we do have to eyeball it as of now? Let's say I want to identify slowing down, or I want to see any sleep related to, let's say, restless leg syndrome, something like that, which is very peculiar, seeing hyperarousals and sleep spindles. Can I do that here? Would it be helpful in such scenarios?
The beta spindle, as far as I understand correctly, the beta spindle is very easily we can find in the raw data and clean data, and also in the QEEG. Beta spindle is easy to find. So the shape of the morphology is very simple, and there are strong the QEEG map of in case of the beta spindle, we can easily identify.
Let's say that was just in case of, let's say I want to first point of contact as a technician. In that scenario, I was just asking, let's see if he can interpret it. But yes, thank you. I do understand that eyeballing it is quite easier in such cases. And for this PBMV protocols and SMR, would it be the same for somebody else asked stress and burnout for relaxation? So we need to eyeball each and every report, or is a standardized protocol?
We can use the Theta protocol or Alpha protocol for SMR protocol for giving the people relaxation. We can choose Theta, sometimes Alpha, sometimes SMR. That depends on the QEEG pattern. So after second session, you can get the idea of how to design the PBM. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Then after 2 minutes, we start the second session, the real 5 cases, very interesting cases of PBM intervention. Yes, let's start the case details. The first case, are you ready? Yeah, I will start.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. The first case is the ADHD case, the 12 years old boy. And the chief complaint is he is being excluded from the school because his violent behavior with his friend at school. So finally he excluded from the school. The baseline measurement, as you can see here, we can see the Theta, 4 Hz, Theta frontal excess, and also 6 Hz. And his alpha frequency is around 8 Hz. He shows very slow frontal problem, slow activity in the frontal area. The protocol, the first I give him this, the 13 Hz SMR protocol and the 40 Hz gamma protocol. And after 4 weeks intervention, and he shows the 4 Hz frontal excess is decreased and 6 Hz is remained. So as you can see here, the 4 Hz activity is decreased, but still 6 Hz is remained like this. And after 4 weeks, I changed the protocol like this, 10 Hz posteriorly and 15 Hz anteriorly because he shows the anterior problem and his alpha activity a little bit slow, and I combine these two. And finally, I have this kind, we can see after 12 weeks, we can see the frontal 6 Hz is decreased and still the 9 Hz activities still remain. So after this 12 weeks intervention, his behavior is moderated and allowed back to school. That's a very good example as a post cases. And in this case, I can show you we can see in this data here in the iMediSync brain website, and he is log out, log in again. And this is his 3 brain baseline. And 4 weeks later, and then 12 weeks later. As you can see here, this is the baseline activity. We always need to see the raw data like this. There are some F3 is not a good quality.
Excuse me, Dr. Dev.
Yes.
I'm not sure. Are you sharing the entire screen? Because now we are seeing just the interface of the iMediSync brain.
Yes, I want to share the iMediSync brain. Do you want to share the entire screen?
I'm just not sure that are you sharing the right windows. So I'm just asking because it seems like you explained something, but it's not.
I see. Then I changed the whole screen. Thank you. Thank you. Can you see the screen? The
yes,
data?
now.
Yes. Thank you. This is the raw data, and we can find this is the baseline raw data. When raw data inspection is very important. There are some channel, the F3 channel signal quality is not good at the baseline, and in the clean data we can make a clean the kind of bad signal channel. Then using that clean data, I think this is the clean data, then we can see the topo map like this. This is the topo map I showed before. And also we can see this is the spectra. The spectra, there are 3 different spectra. One is the linear spectra. Second is the linear spectra for the absolute power, and the logs in the absolute power. We cannot. Sorry. I need to log out the messenger. And in the absolute power, it is very difficult to see the high frequency activity. As you can see, high frequency activity is difficult to see. And even when we choose the small scale, so in that case, we can choose the log scale. In the log scale, we can see the high frequency activity more better, and relative power, and also in this case, we can see the clear 4 Hz activity in the relative power. This is the 4 Hz Theta rhythm in the frontal area. His alpha is the around 8 Hz. The 4 Hz activity is across all the frontal channel and also in the occipital channel. So this is his baseline. And we go to the 4 weeks. After 4 weeks, this is the another 4 weeks measurement, and this is the clean data. If the clean data is reasonable, then we can go to the topo map or other QEEG pictures, and as you can see here, and this is the relative power here, the baseline. This is baseline. This is the 4 weeks intervention, and we can also, this is the topo map, and we can also see this kind of spectra in the relative power. Then now the setters, and click any location, you can find this kind of detailed spectral view. The 4 Hz peak is very small amplitude at the 4 weeks intervention. Now we still have still have the 6 Hz here. We have the 6 Hz remained, but 4 Hz is disappeared, almost disappeared. In the first phase, we have the 4 Hz, substantial 4 Hz and 6 Hz. And after 4 weeks intervention, the 4 Hz is decreased and 6 Hz is still remained. And then the alpha peak frequency is 8.2, 8.5 at the first. Alpha peak frequency a little faster, 8.8 and 8.5. And the theta is decreased. And the 12 weeks, this is after 12 weeks intervention. As you can see here, the some channel is low quality, but after denoising, you can find the good signal successfully. And then we can go to the topo map. The 6 Hz is also at the 12 weeks intervention, the 6 Hz is decreased. And we can see in here, we cannot find the 6 Hz at the frontal area. That's the 4 Hz and 6 Hz in the frontal peak. Frontal area is the ADHD related theta wave, and these two theta rhythm is decreased. And finally, we have 8.8 Hz alpha rhythm. And still, we have a lot of excess in 8 Hz, but 4 Hz and 6 Hz is decreased a lot. That's the QEEG changes, and along with the behavior changes. So the ADHD is mainly frontal executive function problem, and we can address the frontal problem using, we combine the 13 Hz, the 40 Hz, and the 10 Hz, and the 15 Hz in the frontal. We combine all these frequencies good for this child, but the first 4 weeks, we combine 13 and 40, and after 4 weeks, we combine these 10 Hz and 15 Hz. I think these 10 Hz and 10 Hz speed up his alpha frequency into the 10 Hz direction, and this 15 Hz frontal stimulation make the theta rhythm decrease. I think these two combination is also very good. and he is very violent in his behavior, and his speech and his behavior is not so good with his friend. So this kind of SMR, the calming the brain rhythm overall is also good protocol. And I think that sometimes adding the 40 Hertz stimulation is making the brain network more strongly. So we combine these 4 different kinds of photobiomodulation. I think I can improve his ADHD problem. This is the first case I can show. Is there any comment about these cases? And after these 5 cases, we can discuss one by we can discuss and Q&A, I think, and we can summarize what is the best protocol based on the QEEG. And this was very interesting cases for me. It is almost first cases for PBM intervention by myself for the ADHD children. And the second interesting case is the drug addiction cases. He is 41 years old. He has been doing drug all his life. I don't know exactly when he started drug addiction, but all his during his adult life, he has been doing the drugs. So when he found the iSync Wave clinic in his area, and then he started the photobiomodulation. This is his baseline. This is his baseline. He has the frontal temporal theta wave here. And in that case, the clinician, this is not my case, our user clinician shared this case. He used the alpha protocol, and just only after 5 weeks, his frontal 5 Hertz excess rhythm is disappeared, and his behavior, his addiction behavior is stopped. He did not use any drug during the 4 weeks intervention, and after that, this is the comparison between the red line is the baseline, the blue line is the after 4 weeks intervention. You can see here there are a lot of slow wave in FP1, FP2, and I always recommend before using this QEEG information, we need to inspect the low data and clean data. It is always important one. So I need to go back to this case. This case is 16. And this is his baseline. This is his 4 weeks follow-up. This is his EEG recording. I think there is a temporal muscle, but overall clean recording. And this is the clean data. Tiny muscle activity is removed in the clean data. And using this clean data, we can use the QEEG because clean data and raw data is no problem. So then we can go to this absolute power is overall red. So we can go directly to the relative power. Here we have the frontal slow activity. And we can also pinpoint the frontal slow activity coming from using this component information. When you go to the component information, the component usually we have the 19 component coming from the 19 sensor level data. Then we can find that the third component is this blue is blue and red, you can see the blue is 0.05, red is 0.4. So blue is more bigger amplitude here. So his frontal problem, 5 Hz frontal Theta activity coming from his orbital gyrus, kind of the emotional brain area in the frontal, just over the eye, as far as I remember correctly. So this is the emotional center of the frontal area. This frontal area having this kind of slow activity, so we need to focus to activating this area, frontal and temporal area. That is the pinpoint of the abnormal area in the source level, not in the sensor level. But this is the baseline, and the spectra, you can see the spectra. You can see this kind of 5 Hz peak in the frontal area. Click the frontal, any channel, then we can find the 5.25 Hz. 5.25 Hz frontal slow peak make his addiction behavior. And after 4 weeks intervention, this is the after 4 weeks intervention data. And here we can still see the temporal T5 muscle activity in the low data. And there are some eye movement in the frontal area. And we can see the clean data, remove the temporal muscle activity and make generally clean data. And then we have the second, we have the topomap data, generally very blue, because the absolute power shows a very big interpersonal difference. Some people having very thin skull, and in that case, very big amplitude. Some people having very thick skull, and the skull density is higher. In that case, the amplitude is very small. So absolute power has a lot of individual difference, but relative power, usually the basic definition of relative power is the power divided by the total power in all frequency bands. So relative power always having the value between 0 to 1. So it is individual difference is very small. So relative power, absolute power, it is very difficult to find the pattern. Relative power, or more easier to find the pattern. In the 4 weeks follow-up, we don't have the Theta peak here in the frontally. And in the spectra, the absolute power in the linear, there are linear scale and log scale. And linear scale, we can see the Theta peak here. In the log scale, it is more evident in the log scale. But we can compare this Theta peak and this one. So this Theta peak now, there are little peak here, but the Theta peak in now is 6 Hz, not 5 Hz. The Theta peak increase a little bit and Theta amplitude decrease. This is very difficult to compare in these two charts. So I make this kind of comparison graph here. This comparison graph we can also see in the group analysis. Wait a moment. Yeah, this one. And this is the before and after 4 weeks intervention. As you can see here, there is a still, for example, FZ. This 6 Hz peak is still remained, but 5 Hz peak is decreased substantially. The 6 Hz a little remained, but a lot of decrease in frontal theta activity. And also the alpha peak frequency is faster. The red is baseline, the blue is the 4 weeks intervention. The clinician give him the alpha protocol, alpha 10 Hz entrainment effect, make this slow theta rhythm decrease and tune up a little higher frequency, and alpha frequency also tuned up toward the 10 Hz direction. That's the small, it looks like the small changes, but his behavior changes is dramatical. He never give up the drug during his adult life, but he did not use the drug during the 4 weeks intervention. Now he still continued the intervention. After 6 weeks, he got the job. I think it was the first job he got. I need to check the clinician once again, but he now get the job again, and he is still improving as far as I heard from the clinician. It's very exciting drug addiction PBM intervention case. Is there any comment about this case? And as you can see here, alpha frequency still step higher to the 10 Hz direction, and the theta activity decrease. That's a very interesting case to me. And the third case is the suicidal attempt case. It is also very interesting case for me. Then that's why I want to share with you together. This is the 20 years old man. His chief complaint is depression and helplessness and anxiety and insomnia, anger, irritability, and suicidal ideation, and even suicidal attempt, self-harming behavior. He has many problems. His baseline measurement is like this. He has a very high alpha peak frequency. So we need to calm down. So clinician, there's another clinician. This case, I shared this, another clinician shared this case. The clinician give him the 8 Hz photobiomodulation because his alpha rhythm is too fast. So he wants to stabilize this high frequency alpha activity. And after 8 weeks follow-up, he found this is the baseline, red is baseline, blue is the follow-up measurement. The alpha peak frequency is slowed, maybe 12 to 11. The alpha step down, but at the same time, he has the theta activity. So the 8 Hz global PBM stimulation make the alpha rhythm step down and also make a slow rhythm. And then the clinician, after this 8 weeks intervention, basically the clinician also prescribed the SSRI, and the Zanapam is kind of the anxiolytics, maybe anxiety medication. That medication can be tapered after the 8 weeks intervention because his behavior improved, but he shows the slow activity like this. So the clinician want to increase again this slow activity, and after 8 weeks, the 8 Hz global stimulation changed it to the 10 Hz global stimulation. And after another 4 weeks, 10 stimulation, there's still theta activity a little bit remained, and the alpha frequency, the 11 hertz and 12 hertz alpha frequency in this time a little bit faster, like this, a little bit faster compared to the 8 weeks. The interesting thing is that when we give him the slow 8 hertz stimulation, photobiomodulation stimulation, his alpha activity is step down, and after 10 hertz activation, his activity a little bit increased, like this. This is the 8 weeks intervention, 8 weeks EEG. The blue is the 12 weeks measurement. The EEG rhythm is speeding up and down a little bit, depending on the EEG depending on the stimulation frequency. And during the 12 weeks intervention, his clinical symptom improved considerably. His insomnia and depression are better. He is now much calmer. His self-harming behavior has stopped. So in this case, the slowing of I think this is the optimum QEEG-guided protocol, because 8 hertz is not so good for the frontal area. So we need to more precise protocol. I will mention before. After this case presentation, I will give you some kind of general idea of the PBM protocol, and this is after the case presentation, I will wrap up what is the best protocol idea at this moment. But at the moment, I will give you this protocol. Not this 8 hertz protocol is not optimal one, but improve his high frequency activity like this. And his 12 hertz, 13 hertz, very high frequency alpha activity is decreased after the 8 weeks intervention. And the clinician used the 8 hertz global stimulation. So that makes the improvement, but still, but there are, at the same time, the slow wave is the problem. So we need to speed up this one. So the clinician changed the protocol, but the clinician now also understanding what is the optimizing best protocol based on QEEG. We need to understand each other. So basically the direction is good, I think. So we can. That's why we can have this kind of behavior improvement in this suicide attempt severe patient. And the fourth case is very interesting case of the autism cases. This is the 27 years old man. 27 years old man. So he has the autism and intellectual disability and OCD, and he also has epilepsy. And he shows the impulsive behavior and difficulty in self-control and aggression. And this is his baseline measurements. He has significant increase in 5 hertz and 6 hertz theta wave. And we can go to the raw data before using the QEEG information, and we can go to this one. This is the baseline. And this is the after the intervention. Yes, this is the raw data. And this is the clean data. And then we can use here's the strong absolute power. And then we can go to the relative power. He has a strong theta activity at the baseline. He has very little beta activity, kind of severe dementia, very similar to severe dementia, EEG pattern. And he start the intervention. Interestingly, based on QEEG finding, basically his routine medication is this kind of the anticonvulsant medication and psychotic medication is the basic routine his medication. After finding this baseline measurement, the clinician add the concerta is the stimulant because he has a strong theta activity. And also, the clinician give him the 13 Hertz global stimulation because his house is very, very distant. The distance between his house, the client house and the hospital is very long distance. So he visit the clinic every 2 weeks, and he maintained the intervention 6 months. And also PBM and also the clinician combine the TDCS in the frontally. This is the TDCS and PBM, the integrated intervention cases. And after the 6 week, this is the protocol. The clinician used the 13 Hertz because the 13 Hertz is the optimum sweet spot for the EEG frequency, as we reviewed before. So he just used the simple 13 Hertz protocol. I think this is not an optimal protocol, but the clinician tried this 13 Hertz protocol, and after 24 weeks intervention, as you can see here, he still has a theta rhythm like this, but generally at the baseline, we can see this is the baseline. This is the 6 months follow-up. This is the raw data. You can see the clean EEG recording, and a lot of eye movement is removed after the AI denoising. And using this data, and we can using this data, we can use the QEEG features. And here, the absolute power and relative power. Absolute and relative is the similar pattern here. And I can go to the relative for the comparison. The first, we have the overall theta activity, and there is no beta activity. But after 6 months PBM intervention, globally 13 Hertz, he makes new 13 Hertz rhythm like this. Basically, 13 Hertz is not a best alpha frequency, but when clinician give him the 13 Hertz stabilization rhythm, and then he make the global 13 Hertz like this. I think this is the kind of entrainment of the EEG rhythm. And also theta rhythm decreased because the brain tuned up the stimulation frequency, the theta decreased and 13 Hertz increased. That's why we have in the relative power, in the absolute power, the 12 Hertz and 13 Hertz like this. In the relative power, a little bit different pattern, but basically he he shows the bigger 13 Hz rhythm here. And as you can see here, this is the before and after. The red is the baseline, the blue is the 6 months follow-up. As you can see here, this is the very big changes when combine the 13 Hz photobiomodulation and the TDCS at the same time for the autistic children, autistic adult, 28 years old. I can go the group analysis directly. As you can see here, for example, click here, O2 activity. There are a lot of theta activity and alpha activity. As you can see here, the theta activity almost decreased. And now we have here 12.5, 13 Hz alpha rhythm. He already, at the baseline, he also has alpha rhythm, but theta rhythm too high. So his relative power is very low alpha rhythm, like this. Alpha is kind of green or blue. He also has the alpha rhythm here, but his alpha is now tuned up toward the 13 Hz direction, like this. The alpha is speed up. So selecting the right frequency and the right location is important thing. In this case, I think we can give the 13 Hz stimulation. Sometimes the alpha peak frequency is too high. For example, 11 Hz, 12 Hz, the 13 Hz stimulation, easy to entrain the high frequency alpha tuned up to the 13 Hz. The 13 Hz is not a good alpha rhythm, I think. So in this case, we need to cautious about the selection of the location, global. But I want to stress the frequency entrainment is evident in the intervention cases. So selecting the right frequency is important, and also right area is also important, I think. In this case, global 13 Hz stimulation makes his alpha rhythm is more faster, but generally 13 Hz increase a lot, like this. He still has obsessive behavior, maybe correlated with this 13 Hz alpha rhythm. Alpha rhythm is too fast. Now the clinician changed the protocol, maybe 11 Hz or 10 Hz, so a little bit coming down based on the changes of his new follow-up EEG. But importantly, his verbal communication is increased. He even now used the transportation, mass transportation system. He can use subway, for example, and he can start increase the verbal communication, and his impulsive and aggressive behavior is very decreased a lot, and he become calmer. His behavior changes, and also his EEG substantially changes. This kind of slow activity is coming down, and 13 Hz is entrained. Now the frequency is a little bit adjusted by the different PBM frequency, but this kind of PBM and the TDCS combined stimulation make autism adult improved dramatically. This is very interesting cases for me. And the final cases is the PTSD cases. He shows the symptom of PTSD after she shows the symptom of PTSD after sexual harassment, and then she suffer from anxiety and many depression and interpersonal difficulty and many rumination. And this PTSD patient having the epileptic form and the slow focus. I want to share this raw data here. This one. As you can see here, this is the PTSD cases. You can see the clearly, this is the beta spindle. Beta spindle is, some expert include beta spindle as the spike the epileptic form. The beta spindle is another, the mild case of the epileptic form. The beta spindle developed to the epileptic form eventually. So beta spindle is also very unhealthy brain rhythm. She shows a lot of beta spindle, and it is very difficult to find the alpha rhythm. And the beta spindle in the frontally, as you can see here. And this is the strong beta spindle. And another strong beta spindle. After the strong beta spindle, there is a slow focus like this. This you can see this is the field effect. This spike activity is spread across the channel. This is the field effect. Real EEG signal always having the field effect in the adjacent channel, but the artifact cannot make the field effect. That's the differentiation method of the real EEG signal and artifact. This kind of slow focus, this we can call the slow focus, slow rhythm with the field effect. So we can find his EEG. This is the individual analysis. We can find the slow focus in this area. This is the individual EEG, not non-comparison, and we can find the beta spindle here in the frontal area, frontal temporal, especially right frontal. And in the non-comparison, we can find how severe of the slow focus and the beta spindle. And here we have the slow focus like this, and also a strong beta spindle in the frontal area in the non-comparison. In this kind of hyperarousal, we need to break up this frontal slow frontal beta. We need to break up this beta spindle, make a calm brain activity. So I can suggest basically she has a very small alpha activity, like as you can saw in the raw data and also in the topo map in the QEEG. She don't have alpha activity, and we can increase alpha PBM, and also she need to relax. In that case, we can give the relax more than alpha, the 7 Hz relax protocol like this, for example. And also we can break up the beta spindle area using the 1 Hz very slow frequency. And also we can give her this kind of SMR protocol. There are a lot of options we can give her, but there are a lot of approach for calming down her beta spindle activity in the frontal area, and we can increase the alpha rhythm. So I can choose the alpha increase and the beta inhibition or the SMR global stabilization. And that's the possibility of the photobiomodulation protocol based on the her QEEG profile. And so this is the 5 cases I want to share today. And for summary for these 5 cases, and this is the summary of the 5 cases. The first cases is the ADHD. We can give him the SMR globalization global stabilization and posterior alpha speed up and the frontal beta stimulation. In the drug addiction case, he has a slow theta activity and alpha activity. This is my cases and drug addiction cases. Another cases from US and this suicide attempt case. The Korean clinician may share this case. This is the Korean clinician. The clinician used a different approach because our PBM protocol is very efficient protocol, but there is a various kind of approach can be possible. I think, for example, this PTSD, we don't have the after intervention QEEG data, but I include this because there are the frontal slow type and the fast alpha type. Sometimes focal slow or beta spindle we can see. So in this PTSD case, we can approach alpha. We can also use the theta. I think the 1 Hz inhibition protocol is also possible, and SMR protocol is very good protocol for the PTSD population when combined with biofeedback. So this is the summary of the 5 cases today. And there is a recommendation protocol. When using this recommendation protocol, we can get the idea of how we can design the optimization, relaxation, local training, and this is another the sample protocol is the different time pace, first pace, second pace, third pace, individual, the pace and pace, we can step by step increase the frequency or the stimulation or the area more targeted. First pace, we usually targeted the stabilization, and second pace, we targeted the function, specific function, and then combine with the networking protocol. This is kind of the multi-phase protocol combined with the various protocol at the same time. And this is for the autism protocol, multi-phase autism protocol. This is the multi-phase ADHD protocol. This is the multi-phase depression protocol and addiction protocol. And you can review this sample protocol to get an idea of the QEEG-guided photobiomodulation. This is the today's content about the landscape of EEG and QEEG and how to apply the QEEG data to make us personalized the photobiomodulation. So we can discuss a little bit, and I already shared this presentation link, and you can review after the session. And shall we discuss a little bit about, and if you have any question, and we can discuss. Yes, Horike-san, please.
Thank you. Do you think is it correlated those two, that the frequency of PBM and how patient like it?
Yes, some patient sense the frequency.
Yeah.
And this frequency is good for me. For example, I have a medical doctor patient. He sensed the frequency and he chose the frequency by himself. And, and finally, he rent our device at home and he used the device at his home. And in his case, he sensed I give him the SMR frequency and gamma frequency and alpha frequency, all frequency, I think good for him. But he feels a lot. He feels good when for example, gamma frequency make him better. So he loves gamma frequency, for example. In that case, I can give him a selection of the protocol among the combination of the I suggesting protocol.
I have some patient who doesn't feel the frequency of PBM if he likes it, or even he feels nothing. But before seeing the QEEG before and after the PBM, the QEEG is changing, and it in a better way.
Right. So
But the patient doesn't feel it.
Yes.
How do you think? Is it
usually
working?
Yes. Usually, many patients cannot sense anything during the photobiomodulation. But in that case, we can rely on the QEEG assessment. After some period of intervention, we can monitor the change of the QEEG, and also monitor. We always monitor the behavior changes, but only using the QEEG monitoring, we can objectively tracking his physiological changes. Usually, after follow-up EEG assessment, we can tune up a little bit protocol for finding the best direction. So I think we usually do the 4 weeks. Every 4 weeks, we do the following QEEG for changing or adjusting PBM protocol a little bit.
Every 2 weeks.
Every 4 weeks.
Every 4 weeks. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, I see. So you're adjusting the frequency.
Yeah, based on the QEEG.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much. The cases are very impressive, and I understand how to choose the frequency.
Yes. Of all the frequency we suggest is the basic direction is important. For inhibition direction, for example, 7 Hz relaxation, 1 Hz breaking the beta spindle is the direction is the under-arousal, and the SMR is good for the stabilization, and the beta frequency or gamma frequency kind of activation, I think. So the direction is important one, I think. The direction we can choose the right direction after QEEG, and under the right direction we can choose several candidate protocol, and we can adjust. I think there are sometimes we can combine 2 good protocol, for example, alpha protocol and relax posterior theta protocol for the PTSD. In our cases, we can combine sometimes, and we can adjust a little bit after follow-up QEEG. And once we define the direction, over-arousal direction and under-arousal direction, and then we can choose. SMR is always good, I think. We can combine SMR and gamma, but for the activation, we can combine SMR and alpha, or slow relaxation theta, or sometimes 1 Hz for the inhibition or for making the calm brain, calming down the over-arousal. And once direction is determined, we can combine various good combination of
the difference of 1 Hz walk, do you think, to diminish those 6 Hz peak and 4 Hz peaks?
1 Hz? Do you mean 1 Hz?
Yeah, we have to find out the frequency that work for diminishing those 4 Hz peaks in your cases, and so you can choose. There are many choices we can choose.
Yes, right.
10 hertz and 11 hertz, 12 hertz. So
yes.
there, so the difference between 12 hertz and 13 hertz.
Yes.
Um,
1 hertz difference is big, I think. So we can
big.
adjust. Yes.
Thank you very much.
We can adjust a little bit. Always monitoring the EEG and behavior change at the same time is important thing. I think.
Thank you very much.
Yes, please, Narida, please.
Yeah, Dave, this has just been fascinating. So thank you so much, and I'm hoping we can get a recording of this.
Mandy record this webinar, so we can share, yes, after this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it really has been very, very interesting. So thank you so much. Okay, and bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye,
Is there
everyone.
any other question? There are some, Anna, please, Anna. There are some questions in the comment chat box. The frequency of the treatment is also depend on the patient response. Some patient, every other day is good for some patient. Every day is good for some patient. So it depends on the some autistic children. The everyday stimulation is very heavy stimulation for him. For example, for exercise, strong exercise need to have the break time. For example, when we go to the gym, the 1 day strong exercise and 1 day rest, and another day we can have the strong exercise. In that patient, every other day stimulation is good for someone. Some patient, everyday stimulation is good. It depends on the patient subjective responsiveness. So, and also the how long, for example, some people get 5 minutes is enough for me. Some people, I want more than 10 minutes. I want more 15 minutes. It depends on the frequency of treatment. And for example, I think some people is very hard to go to the hospital or clinic. Then we need to give them the more longer photobiomodulation, I think. Anna, please.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Jeff. I have a question like this one. Normally in the Vietnam, Vietnamese doctor, they have no idea about apply the PBM for autism, neurology, or psychiatric disease. And then firstly, the first question is which document or which data they can base on to select the right frequency and areas to give the right protocol.
Yes, many doctors nowadays did not use QEEG. The neurologist and epileptologist use the EEG, not QEEG.
Yeah.
So nowadays the neurologist using the QEEG is increasing, and the psychiatrist using the QEEG is also increasing. So they need to understand the QEEG. They usually have the information. They usually got the education of the EEG inspection, but they don't have experience of the QEEG. So we need to give them the QEEG inspection process, like this webinar, and the material, and we can share that material. This is this material.
Yeah.
They can, for example, today's material, they can understand the QEEG concept, and then after understanding the QEEG, then they can apply the QEEG-guided neuromodulation. Even the Harvard Medical School professor in psychiatry did not understand the QEEG before getting the information of the QEEG. So we need to spreading the QEEG information.
I see.
We need to support them, and then they can easily understand, and finally they can use the QEEG-guided intervention in their clinic for their patient.
Yeah. Okay. So I have I starting to have a demo at the top #1 hospital in the Vietnam. Treatment for the top government of the Vietnam is a week. So the doctors who did take in charge in using our device, he also have no idea exactly about the QEEG and our like the protocol, how to select the good frequency or some area, something like this one. So yeah, can you give to me some the document data or something same like what you just mentioned, so I can before we submit to And one more question, for our device after the measures, so our device will use AI automatics give one suggest one the protocols, right? Is it right for the BPM?
We are now developing the AI automatic protocol based on QEEG, but not at service not available. But we are now developing about
I see.
automatic protocol.
I see. So that means when we use BPM's function, the protocol, how to select the frequency and the area, the doctor have to select by themselves first.
Yes.
Right? I see.
That's why doctors need to understand QEEG and the protocol. I will share the previous webinar. The previous webinar previous webinar covered the QEEG basic concept, and this webinar is the protocol. So combine these two, then doctor can understand. This is the EEG. This is the QEEG-guided protocol. So I will integrate the webinar and the material, and I will share with you for understanding.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and bye bye.
Thank you. And the time is finished.
Can you take a last question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you again.
Hi. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
So, doctor, I was asking, is it possible that you could give me a set protocol once I take the test and I have the test reports, all three, and is that you could give a template or some document to say what type of PBM I should give, what should be the frequency, all this. If you have a small data, if you could share with us, it will be great helpful.
Yes. Do you want to have some kind of recommendation protocol of yours?
Correct.
Yes. Please share your cases, easy data, and then I will give you some initial recommendation.
Fine, doctor. Fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think this is my first lecture. I've attended lots more to come. We'll keep attending. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we need to finalize this, wrap up this meeting. We can announce another meeting, and also please use the shared presentation material to review, and we can actively communicate together for making a community together.
Maybe you could have a WhatsApp group, would be a great help. She has a line group, but a WhatsApp group will help. I have just
yes.
Please.
Yes. Okay. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Mandy, for arranging this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mandy.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Balaji. Nice to meet you.
Bye, Mandy.
Yeah.